Good evening and welcome to the Smyrna Town Council meeting for our October meeting. I'm going to call our meeting to order, and tonight Chaplain Bill Hunter from the Smyrna Police Department is going to do our prayer, and Tom Rose, our Public Works Director, will do our pledge. If you'll all stand with us, please.
Will you bow with me, please? Our Father, it's an exciting time to be alive. So many challenging things, difficult things. Lord, we depend upon your grace and your mercy and your love from day to day. I pray that you'll be with our council tonight, with each one, and with our mayor, and with all of the employees of the town of Smyrna, Tennessee. I pray that you'll be with all of the citizens of our area. We know that there's some people that are hungry. We know that there's some people that are looking for a place to live. We realize there have been a lot of sick people and there's been a lot of deaths, and Lord, things have been pretty tough, and we pray that you'll be with us. Lord, each one of our council members and our mayor are so important to us. Bless them and bless their families. Bless all the employees of the town of Smyrna. They have a very tough task. Father, in Luke 18 of your book, it says, what is impossible with man is possible with God, and we believe that. I close this prayer, Father, with these words. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. I pray in the name of Jesus, and amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chaplain Hunter and Tom. Miss Diane, if you will do roll call, please.
Councilman Cole,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Morrell,
Present.
Councilwoman Peebles, Councilman Short, Councilman Sullivan, Vice Mayor Adkins,
Here.
Mayor Reed.
Here. We'll now move on to item 3, which is approval or corrections of the minutes of the September 14th, 2021 and September 30th, 2021 meetings. Jeff, are these in order? Council, any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes, Mayor.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes pass. We'll now move on to correspondence and communications. Brian, anything tonight?
None at this time, Mayor.
Okay. Awards and recognitions. Tonight we have special guest in the audience that we are so glad to have. Tonight we have a proclamation for Nissan, and Miss Diane, I'm going to let you take it over at this time.
All right. Whereas Nissan has been building world-class vehicles in Smyrna since 1983. Whereas Nissan and its team members have remained a pillar of our community and a cornerstone of our town's success for nearly 40 years. Whereas the town of Smyrna wishes to congratulate the Nissan Smyrna team on being recognized by J.D. Power as one of the top automotive plants for vehicle quality in the United States. Whereas in the 2021 initial quality study, the Nissan Smyrna plant Murano line received the J.D. Power Gold Plant Quality Award for the Americas and had multiple Nissan vehicles recognized for quality. Whereas the Nissan Maxima and Nissan Murano won their segments with the Maxima named as best performing vehicle in the entire industry. Whereas the initial quality study, or IQS, now in its 35th year, is based on responses from purchasers and lessees of new 2021 model year vehicles. Whereas these awards are a testament to the highly skilled class team at Nissan, and the town of Smyrna is proud to be home to Nissan. Therefore, the town of Smyrna formally congratulates the entire Nissan Smyrna team on this exceptional achievement and looks forward to continued success in the future. Proclaimed this 12th day of October, 2021.
Thank you, Miss Diane. If the Nissan team would come forward. Looks like I got the memo to wear red. We are so glad to have you all. It's hard to believe it's been that long. For everybody that is sitting on the council, we've all lived here our entire life. So we have gotten to see the changes that have come to Smyrna because of a wonderful organization like Nissan. So we just want to tell you, one, how proud we are of you and how much we appreciate the continued partnership that we have with each one of you. So why don't we get the photo taken care of, and then we'll let everybody introduce themselves so you can make sure that you're on TV, because I know that's why you all came tonight. You wanted to make sure you were on TV. So Miss Kathy, are you going to do the honors with the photo? Okay.
Yep. Okay. If everybody can scoot in just a little bit. Perfect. That's perfect. Ready?
Can you get council?
I'm trying to, yeah. All right, I got it. You
Got
go
it?
ahead. Yeah.
And just look right there for just a second. Thank you.
Hold that. And I'm just going to let you all, Jeff, and let you do the honors first. If you'll tell us your name and what you do with Nissan.
Okay, thank you, Mary Esther. Jeff Youngener. I was, for the past 4 years, the Vice President of Manufacturing at the Smyrna plant, and actually last week switched over to Vice President of Engineering. But
And how long have you been with the company?
I've been with the company 15 years, so very, very proud of this team. It's an exceptional honor to get to this point. So thank you for recognizing this group of hardworking technicians that are representing the 7,000 across the street. So thanks.
I'm Eddie Gilmore. I work in the stamping department, the QC department in stamping, and I've been there almost 33 years. So, been there, and we're so proud. We really are. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Thong Sai Chantanale, or they call me Noi. I've been with Nissan for 21 years, and I'm so proud of it. Yeah.
My name is Mike Keogh. I'm stamping maintenance. Been there for 30 years.
Hello, my name is Sherry Carter, and I just recently received my 30-year award today. Thank you. And I work in the PQA department.
Hello, my name is Journey, and I've been with Nissan for 10 years, and I love being an employee of Nissan.
Antoine Turner. I've been an employee for 11 years, and I'm a lead technician in the body shop.
My name is Jesse Kramer. I've been with Nissan for 10 years, and I work on SUV Final, and I've loved every year of it. Worked my way up from trim and been all over the place, so I really enjoy it.
Hi, I'm Tim Slate. I'm the Director of Product Quality Assurance. I've been at the plant 26 years. Native resident of Smyrna, so they built a big plant in my backyard, and I've worked there since I was a kid, it seems like. And man, it's been great, and just really proud to work with this team.
But tell them what your greatest accomplishment is.
My greatest accomplishment is to be semi-related to the mayor.
Tim and I actually started kindergarten together, and many times Tim sat behind me in class, but Tim married my sister. So we've known each other quite a while, but I actually knew him before my sister did. So we're very appreciative of Tim in our family, and if you knew my sister, you would know why. But the one thing I'll say is that we hear throughout this pretty much the same that we hear here in the town of Smyrna. Employees that have been here for quite a while. Employees that love their job, employees that are loyal to the company, and that's what we find here at the town of Smyrna as well. So again, congratulations. When you all succeed, the town of Smyrna succeeds, Rutherford County succeeds, and the state of Tennessee succeeds. So thank you for everything you do, and we look forward to many more years to come. So congratulations. Thank you. Brian, anything else under awards and recognitions?
Yes, ma'am. I do have one other that I'd like to share that we actually received a copy of it today, and I'm very proud to share with the council and with our community that the Tennessee Comptroller of the Treasury has certified proudly to the town of Smyrna. They're saying on this 27th day of September of 2021 in recognition on its timely adoption of a balanced budget for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021, and is signed by Jason Mumpower, the Comptroller of the state of Tennessee. And congratulations to Rex Gaither and our finance department, all of our department heads that work on the budget and bring that budget home for us and present it to the council. And thank you for adopting it on a timely basis and keeping us in good standing with the state of Tennessee. But congratulations, Rex, and your staff for the work they do on the budget.
Absolutely. I will say that's something as council we never worry about with Rex leading that department and Brian with you leading everyone. We always know that the budget's going to be taken care of. So thanks to Rex and his team. We're now ready to move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda are items that are deemed by the town manager not necessarily needing to be voted on individually, but if there is an item that council would like to pull off and talk about separately and vote on separately, we can do that. I always like to read the consent agenda so those that are in the audience as well as those that are at home know what we're voting on. So item A under the consent agenda is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with American Melody Carriages for carriage rides at Front Street Christmas celebration in the Depot District. Item B, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute change order number 2 with Judy Construction Company relative to the wastewater treatment plant expansion project. Item C, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a 3-year enterprise license agreement with ESRI relative to the GIS mapping. Item D, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a change order with Stanzel Electric relative to the ITS Phase 1 and 2 project. Item E, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Stanzel Electric Company Incorporated relative to the purchase and installation of 32 street lights on Lowry Street. Item F, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Global Payments Direct Incorporated relative to the court clerk's office accepting online payments for court cost. Item G, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Universal Linen relative to the Event Center's annual linen service. Item H, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Kimberly Horn and Associates Incorporated relative to the professional services for the Rocky Fork Road McEwen Drive project. Item I, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Anderson Yards relative to mowing parcels and lots that are in violation of the Smyrna Municipal Code 13-104, overgrown and dirty lots for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. And item J, consideration of the declaration of surplus items. And our last item under the consent agenda is item K, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a water storage agreement between the Department of the Army and the town of Smyrna. Council, is there anything you'd like to ask a question about or want to pull off and talk about individually? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move we approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. We'll now move on to our old business. Tonight we have 5 public hearings. Our first public hearing is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 28, part of parcel 44.00 to go from R6 to PRD. It's requested by Alyssa Sieben. The property request to be rezoned contains approximately 39.1 acres and is located on Sam Ridley Parkway West and Motlow College Boulevard. This is a second reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, I know I had mentioned to you at the workshop that they had insisted that they would not request to be deferred, but they have requested to be deferred one last time. Just so everyone is aware, we did contact them, and I told them this is kind of the last time we can really do this, and then actually asked for an additional fee, and they did submit an additional fee to help cover our costs for all the public hearings we're on the schedule. So, but they have requested to be deferred one more time.
Kevin, your face got really red when you had to tell us that.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Jeff, do we need to hold the public hearing since they've deferred it? Can we just vote to defer it?
Vote to defer it.
Okay. Do I have a motion to defer?
Motion to defer.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? And you did tell them this would be the last time that it would be deferred.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion is deferred. Our next public hearing is a consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of properties located on tax map 27N, Group C, part of parcels 12.00 and 13.00 to go from R4 to R6, requested by Jason Lloyd. The properties requested to be rezoned contain approximately 24/100ths of an acre and are located at 323 and 325 Lake Farm Road, and this is a second reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a rezoning request. It's a portion of two different parcels of land between 323 and 325 Lake Farm Road. It's about 1,400 feet east of the intersection with Nissan Drive. Land use plan would support a medium-density residential development in this area. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R1, R4, and R6. A little bit of history on these tracts. These properties were rezoned to R6 from R4 in 2002 when the R6 district was created, and Mr. Lloyd actually rezoned a portion of each parcel to R4 with a plan to create a third lot and build a duplex back about 12 years ago. The request now is to combine that area that's currently zoned R4 with the property address at 323 Lake Farm Road and build some additional units. If the property is rezoned, up to 5 additional units could be built on the site. Per the R4 zoning, 2 additional units could be built. Planning Commission did review this and did recommend approval. I would also recommend approval.
We had quite a bit of discussion about this project. Council, is there any other questions since then for Kevin?
Kevin, is your understanding of this that there will be like one building with 5 units in it, or what are they talking about, do you think?
I think that's probably the most likely scenario, would be one building with 5 units. I don't know the exact, we haven't seen an actual plan yet, so I can't say that for certain, but that certainly would be the most likely scenario if they want to max the density out. We have to meet all the setbacks and everything. I have a plat that's already been submitted to move the line between the 2 lots. So, but once that lot gets created, if this is rezoned, it'll be could be up to another building with 5 units, or it could be you just could build another quadruplex. You wouldn't necessarily have to maximize the density. So,
The frontage on it, is it as wide as the adjacent ones, do you know? I went and looked at it, and it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't look to have the same width as the other lots nearby.
yeah, well, the idea would be that existing property line would be moved to the east, and so there actually would not, this would be combined with the property to the west, so it would be one large tract. You know, there will have to be new parking and everything will be built, and new access point to this new building. Would be my assumption. I doubt he would tie it into the existing 323 parking area.
Other questions before we go to the public?
So if it stayed in R4, what size could be built on that parcel?
He could create a third lot in between, which is what his original plan was, and build a duplex.
And that's the largest it could be is a duplex on the R4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Other questions for Kevin? Okay, since this is a public hearing, we'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. If so, if you'll come forward. If you will state your name and your address for us.
Jason Lloyd and 323 Lake Farm Road.
Great.
I watched it on the TV when you guys were all talking about it, and it was going good, and then all of a sudden I was on the edge of my seat wondering what was going to happen. But my plan was originally to put a triplex on there. Right now, if I was to put a duplex on there, it would not kind of look the same into scale. I'm not necessarily looking to overcrowd the area. I'm trying to make it, relatively tasteful. The fact that I can actually put a building a little bit closer and eliminate one property line, the setbacks on that one side would allow me to do a threeplex or possibly a fourplex if I did, 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms. Right now, I manage about 28 units in that area, all the same. They're all 2-bedroom, 1.5 bathrooms, and I have no 3-bedroom. And people, need to move up, and they like the area, and they keep it, pretty much close. So I'm able to transfer tenants that I've had for years to put into a 3-bedroom instead of losing them to some other, deal. So I'm open, and I'm not really sure what I wanted to do. When Kevin told me that it could be up to 5 units, I was a little bit like, oh, but there's no way I would go ahead and put a 5-unit building on there. You'd still have the setbacks on the one. The only difference is between 323 and 325. It would be relatively close. I would probably say cut the setbacks in half. It would have its own parking, so I've already talked to somebody in regards to getting the sewer and water hooked up that has to go across the street. So basically that curb would come out and it would have its own parking. The building would not be any bigger than what is the 2 fourplexes right there. Whether I make it a triplex or a fourplex, that's undecided, depending on if I go 2-bedroom, 1.5 bathrooms. But it will not overcrowd the area. I don't feel it will, because the lots are a little bit bigger than they need to be. But that's, yeah, I'm not looking to go ahead and crowd it. If anything, I think it'll reduce it, because I think out of the units that I do manage there, I keep pretty good control on how many people are in the unit, how many cars are in the unit. And so if that helps, you can go back a couple streets, and if you drive there at night, not that that's the issue, but I do try to keep it orderly and clean. So that's how I manage my stuff in there.
Questions for Mr. Lloyd? Great, thank you. Anyone else here to speak for or against this item? Seeing no one, we will close this public hearing. And Kevin, I have a question about the parking with our new rules in regards to how does that play into this?
Well, they'll have to have parking, certainly. Of course, our ordinance with 2 per unit. We do try to have more, kind of neighborhood, and this one's a little different because
Right.
the neighborhood's already been there and been there many years, and so it's a little bit more difficult to build some of those neighborhood spaces that we do in a brand-new neighborhood. So we'll have to look at that and look at his units. I mean, if we have had a few, not in this neighborhood, but off Weekly Lane, that neighborhood up there, we've had a couple of new quadruplexes, and one of them I think had 5 units in it, built up there on a couple of the vacant lots that were up there. And in those, we were able to provide some additional parking over and above the 2 per unit that or the bare minimum we want to see. And so I think we'll look at that when the site plan comes in.
Okay.
At that time.
Just know that, you know that
Sure.
how important that is. So, okay, do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Jeff, sorry.
You're good.
Is there anything we can put in place? I'm concerned a little bit about the 5 units. I know he says he's not going to do that, not the plan to do that, but once we put the zoning in place, it could happen. So can we make it R6 with a restriction?
That would really be contract zoning. You'd want to do a PUD if you were going to limit it.
I got you. Okay.
I was thinking about the same thing, Steve, but I don't know that, with all it'd be unnecessary expenses really for him to bring us a PUD. And I don't know that I just don't know that it's worth that added expense.
Yeah, and the other piece I was thinking of is, once it's R6, it's R6, whether he owns it or someone else owns it. 5 years, 10 years down the road, it could be.
Everything around it's R6, and that's what we took into consideration.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But they're not, that's all I'm thinking about is that somebody could come back and cut up some walls and make it a fifth unit at some point. With that zoning, it would be perfectly legal to do so.
But even
Which
with
they
that.
could do that with these currently.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could.
And even with that, you still have to make sure that you maintain front, side, and rear setbacks to do that, correct?
Yeah, setbacks, parking, all those kind of things, right?
Other discussion? We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do you need roll call, Ms. Diane? You good?
No,
Good.
there was
Right,
more
there were
than
more
one.
than that.
There's more than one.
Let's do roll.
Okay.
Councilman Cole, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Morrell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peoples?
No.
Councilman Short?
No.
Councilman Sullivan?
No.
Vice Mayor Atkins?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
Yes.
43.
Motion passes. We'll now move on to item C, which is also a public hearing, which is a consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 28, part of parcel 67.14, to go from C2 to PCD. It's requested by Lance Kernert. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 63/100ths of an acre and is located on Cheney Road, and this is a second reading. Kevin?
This is a request, as you said, it's on Cheney Road. It's about 600 feet north of the intersection with Sam Ridley Parkway. Land use plan would support commercial development in this area. This proposed PCD is for a quick service oil change business. Access will be via a private drive, which will connect Cheney Road and Potomac Place. The requested property is a part of a larger parcel, which would be divided. The proposed building would be approximately 1,563 square feet. Would have 3 bays. It would be built primarily with brick and stone with a small amount of ephes as an accent on the cornice. I did attach the pattern book that was submitted. The Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval, and I would also recommend approval.
Okay. Tim or Mark, anything you want to add to this?
You should mark me as abstaining from the discussion or a vote.
Mark, is there anything you'd like to add to
Well,
this?
nothing.
It was good timing.
Nothing we haven't already discussed. So.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Kevin before we move to the public hearing? Seeing none, I will go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to council for a motion.
Move to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Kevin, just, of course, everything around it is C2.
Correct.
So what's kind of explain the difference between the C2 and the?
Yeah, this was a use that's not allowed in C2 as an automotive repair business and so, or service business. And so the use isn't allowed. The area doesn't meet the minimum requirements for C5. It has to have at least a 1 acre lot in C5. This is only about 6,300s. So this is really the only option to have this type of business in this area would be to go through this process. So that's the reason. It's primarily it's the use is not allowed in C2. So.
Any other questions or comments?
So it's not allowed in the C2, but if they bring it in as a PCD, that's the only way for them to have this type of business. How does there's 2 other automotive businesses across the street on the other side. Was it because they had more property and that's why they are approved, or did they meet the requirements?
They met the requirement. At that time, the use was allowed in that
Okay.
district, yeah, when those were built.
Okay.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
You good? Okay.
Councilman Cole, how do you vote? Yes. Councilman Morrell?
Abstaining.
Councilwoman Peebles,
No.
Councilman Short,
No.
Councilman Sullivan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Atkins,
Yes.
Mayor Reed.
Yes. 421.
421.
Motion passes. We'll now move on to our next public hearing, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to amendments to the Municipal Code 13-407, 408, and 409, addressing the storage and location of inoperable and unlicensed vehicles at automotive service and repair facilities. This is a second reading. Jeffrey L.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this would be an amendment to the municipal code at 13-406. And what this basically does, it will mirror the provisions that are currently in the zoning ordinance to be within the municipal code. The reason for that is for enforcement measures by the codes department. It will allow a more efficient mechanism for doing such. But it provides, just as the zoning ordinance does, that with inoperable vehicles at automotive service and repair, mainly that if they have their vehicles out, they can't be out longer than 7 days. They would have to be behind a opaque fence or inside, and not to be in the right-of-way as well. Should not see much of a difference from the codes folks, but you will see a different mechanism for enforcing it.
Questions for Jeff on this?
Would it be fined per vehicle, Jeff?
Excuse me?
Will they be fined per vehicle?
It would be per offense. So if they went out there on day one and they had 3 cars, it would not be 3 tickets, it would just be 1 ticket. So it goes by per day, per our penalty clause.
So if they move one of the 3, then they're still in violation?
Correct. And it would be a fine for each day they're in violation.
Other questions? Seeing none, we'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and go to council for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Our last public hearing tonight is a consideration of an ordinance to amend the Smyrna Municipal Code, Title II, Boards and Commissions, Chapter 5, Sister City Committee, Section 502, Membership. This is a second reading. Jeff?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a change to the Sister City Committee membership. Currently, it allows for 1 educator from North Rutherford County Schools. Due to some issues they've had of being able to keep that position filled, it's not going to reduce the number of folks on the board, but that will just be a citizen position from this point forward.
Questions for Jeff on this? I think we've had quite a bit of discussion as to the reason we had to do this. So, seeing no discussion from us, I will go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and go to council for a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll now move on to the Planning Commission report. We have 5 items tonight. Our first one is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 27, part of parcel 6.00 to go from R1 to C2. It's requested by Matt Taylor on behalf of the Sam Davis Memorial Association. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 4.02 acres and is located at the corner of Nissan Drive and Sam Davis Road, and this is a first reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a rezoning request, R1 to C2. It's for a portion of the property there, about a little over 4 acres of the property. It's at the northwest corner of Sam Davis and Nissan Drive. Land use plan would support a mix of open space and office, retail, multifamily in this area. Surrounding zoning is a mix of C2 and R1. The Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval unanimously, and I would also recommend approval.
Tim or Mark, anything on this?
Mr. Harney got up and spoke at the Planning Commission, explained a lot of the reasons behind. This group may also want to hear from him, but In essence, Sam Davis home needs a lot of work, needs a lot of repair. The state, their board, their trustees got together and voted that this is the way to go to raise some of the funding to make what looks like about $500,000 worth of repairs over there at the house and a little bit to some of the outlying buildings. So doesn't really affect the view of the house, the location where the house is, and their board and trustees made the decision that they needed to bring it here and see if we would give them the zoning to help them out.
Well, I think we all hate to see it coming, and because nobody likes to see that property go away because it's something that has been so important to the town over the years, but I think we all understand the situation that the board and the trustees find themselves in, so as much as I hate to see it, I do understand it. Anything else?
Does that mean we can't call it Pine Tree Curve anymore?
I guess, you know what, the pine trees will be gone, won't they?
Pine Tree Curve's about gone anyway, right here.
The pine trees are still there.
Yeah, the pine trees are still there.
Anything else?
Well, the zoning itself is totally appropriate when you look at the surrounding zoning, so it makes sense to rezone this C2. I think it maximizes what, their efforts to rezone and to obtain the monies necessary to continue the Sam Davis home and museum. And it's just from a purely logistical perspective, it is a good fit and it is in keeping with the zoning for that area.
It's about as far away from the home and the museum as
It's
you can
very,
get.
yeah, there's not a
furthest
line of
point.
sight.
Yeah.
One of the things that Mr. Harney shared when he was here for Planning Commission too was that, yes, they've got a C2 zone if this is approved. But in reference to that, they also want to be sensitive to the type of business or use that is applied there. So even though they have correct zoning, I think their heartbeat is about the same as everybody else's. They'd like to keep it a good fit.
I don't guess they've said anything about what they think will go there, have they?
Speculative at this point.
Yeah, because across the street, that property's been for sale for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it may make it tougher to sell, and they know that because they're going to be a little choosy about what they decide might be a good fit there. But you're right, that property right across the street has been for sale forever. Now, the way it sits and the way this sits is going to differ, and this gives a little bit better access. So.
Yeah, so at this point, they're rezoning in preparation for selling their.
Which is all speculative at this point.
Yeah, they don't have a buyer.
They don't have an end user right now, yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose.
We'll move on to item 2, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 19, parcel 12.02 from R1 to PRD. It's requested by Randy Sexton. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 6.5 acres and is located on Sharp Springs Road, and this is a first reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a rezoning request on Sharp Springs Road. It's about 300 feet north of the intersection with West Jefferson Pike. The land use plan would support a low-density residential in this area. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R1 and R2. The proposed PRD is for 27 single-family houses. Access would be from Sharp Springs Road. The minimum square footage would be 1,800 square feet, and the overall density is 4.15 units per acre. The roads within this development would be private, but still built to the town street standards. The houses would not be built on individual lots, but would be sold through a horizontal property regime with all the property owned and maintained by a third-party managed HOA. Some additional information, just for everyone's information on this. As a part of this development, a developer would be dedicating right-of-way and widening Sharp Springs Road in front of the property. And in addition, a sidewalk within, the sidewalks within his development would be extended along Sharp Springs Road South to eventually be extended to connect to the sidewalk that TDOT will be installing along the West Jefferson Pike as a part of the widening project. In addition to that, they are proposing a pedestrian connection connecting to the trail within Sharp Springs Park. That would have to be done. Obviously, that land is a town park, but it is owned by the Corps of Engineers. We'll have to work through that process with the Corps in order to make sure they're okay with that connection being made. Sewer may gravity to the site, but if not, the developer would be required to upsize the existing lift station that is near the northwestern corner of the property to provide adequate capacity. I did attach the pattern book. I have received a revised pattern book. The sidewalk connection along Shark Springs Road was something that was added at the Planning Commission. I will be getting that revised pattern book to you for your workshop if you pass this tonight. So you'll have the most up to date. Nothing else has changed. It's just showing that additional sidewalk locations only changed. The Planning Commission did recommend approval, and I would also recommend approval.
Couple of questions. This is something a little bit different than we've done here in the town before. So gated, let's talk a little bit about emergency vehicles.
Yeah, it would be a gated entrance. Would be required to meet still the fire code as far as the width of the entrances. And the gate will have to be managed the same as we have with the gated apartment complexes and all that we have around town, where the fire department would be able to have access through the Yelp device and those kind of things.
Okay. And also, I don't know of anything else within a gated, the community that has the private roads. Do we have?
We really
We
don't have
thought
any.
we had one, but
No.
ended up not having one.
Yeah, we have one that was approved, actually, that haven't been built, and then we have some,
I was thinking
obviously.
Cantrell Farms was partly private.
Well, yeah, we have several townhouse developments
Yeah.
that the
Right.
roads are private, certainly.
I remember there was some issues at Lennox Village that we thought those roads were private and then they turned out not to be.
On some of the alleyways, right. But
So
they were-
that's what I was gonna ask, was can we, whatever language we need to put in here to make sure that this is private and stays private, even 10 years from now.
Yeah, and we actually asked them, and they did add wording into the pattern book that not only are the sidewalks and the open spaces maintained by the HOA, but these streets will be maintained by the HOA. That's in the pattern book and all. It'll have to be clearly, this won't be a subdivision plat. The planning commission will look at this. If this is approved, it'll be a site plan, because there's there'll be some public easements at some point about it. And then the HPR, horizontal property regime plat, which will be treated just like a townhouse,
So being private, parking ordinances, all of that is the HOA's issue, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Is that
And-
that's third party as well, is it not?
It's managed by a third party, yes.
And in talking to the developer on this, that's one of the things we had quite a bit of discussion about was, if I'm a homeowner, I'm picking up the phone and calling the town when my neighbor's blocking my drive and all that. And they know the responsibility that they have in regards to the HOA
Yeah, and
taking care of all that.
When I met with them as well, I felt like they had taken in a lot of considerations that we had offered. So I know they're here. I appreciate you guys working with us to come up with something that I think we can support, right? Which is something that we want to see. I know there was some issues with the original submission. You guys made a lot of changes to make it something that works, and I appreciate that.
We're good with the parking in this too?
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's several, in addition to the driveway parking that meets our requirements, for several guest spaces in a couple of different locations in the project.
Great.
Mayor, you talked about safety, and this is a double exit entrance property, so it has essentially two roads in and out. The hammerhead is built in the back, and there's a cul-de-sac with the radius turn. Chief Bill was here during planning commission, and they gave their blessing on it as well.
Great. Other comments or questions?
Yeah, Kevin, you talked about the sidewalks and the widening of the road on Sharp Springs, I guess to carry to Jefferson Pike, is that correct?
Yeah, that's what, well, it'd be primarily, because the state of Tennessee is actually going to relocate Sharp Springs, and so that portion, it'll basically pick up from the end of the TDOT project and go to the northern end, north boundary line of their property, their project.
Will the sidewalks go all the way to Jefferson Pike sidewalks then? Will they tie into that?
Well, they would be, all we can require them to do is in front of their project. We would, at that point, some point, the town or the property between this property and Jefferson Pike, when it develops or something, those sidewalks would be extended at
Yeah,
that
because
time.
they're running sidewalks all the way down from
Right.
Gill's Hardware to at least to the bridge.
Right.
Yeah, right. where the-
There
where the
would be a
property line is.
gap, it's for a while.
Yeah.
Unless the town takes it on, or the property between this tract and Jefferson Pike develops, and we would require
Yeah,
that
I mean,
developer to do it.
right now, with just the development, it may not make sense, but if it does get the tie-in to the Sharp Springs Park, you know, it may make sense for us to look at it like we did Florence Road, because it makes a nice loop at that point, right? So, yeah, right now, it's a sidewalk to a subdivision, but it could be ultimately almost part of the greenway.
Just out of curiosity, where does the town limit? Is it at the water plant that it stops? Or is it a little further than that?
There is one house north of the water plant that's in the town.
Okay, I just couldn't remember.
Did you say that the parking has meet our requirements?
Right.
For the
Yeah, there's-
garages and?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, even though there's not property boundaries between the road and there's not gonna be like setbacks like that, there's gonna be, area between, basically measured from the back of the curb, that there will be, and this is similar to what ones we've looked at in other developments. The garage will actually be set back further than the front of the house and that sort of thing. And then there's guest parking in a couple of different locations as well, in addition to the four in the
Okay.
driveway.
Additionally, the covenants require the garages to be utilized for car parking,
Right.
not as additional storage,
Yes.
per se.
Right. Of course, that's another HOA
Enforcement.
enforcement, yes.
Yeah.
And did
Mr.
you-
Hercules, you're probably going to appreciate that you don't have the headache of overseeing this particular subdivision, right? I mean, with the HOA involvement?
We are excited about that from the standpoint of not having to deal with those things. I will tell you that we are understanding that we're probably going to get a lot of phone calls, and we're going to direct them back to the HOA because it will be the responsibility of the HOA.
Other questions or comments?
Did the neighbor give their blessing? Just curious.
I don't think we've had any phone calls on this one.
I think they
I know
actually
there's
met with the
only one,
neighbor, and that, from my understanding, that went
You did.
pretty well, did it? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't believe our department's received any calls on this request, at least at this point.
Okay, do I have a motion?
A motion to approve?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to item 3, consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 55, parcel 11.04, to go from C2 to C5, requested by Puyan Harenbrand, I'm guessing. Close. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 8.83 acres and is located on Amaville Road, and this is a first reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is on Allenville Road. It's about 700 feet south of the intersection with Quail Ridge Road. Land use plan would support a light industrial and commercial mix in this area. Surrounding zoning is C2 in town and RM in Rutherford County. The majority of this property currently lies within the floodway. FEMA has proposed revisions to the flood maps, which will take a portion of this property from floodway to floodplain, but those revised maps are not currently effective. These effects affect development of this property regardless of the zoning, but I did want to bring that to everyone's attention. CUD does have an existing 12-inch water main along Elmville Road to serve this property, but the adequacy of the fire flow would have to be determined based on this use of the building at the time the site plan is submitted. The Planning Commission did recommend denial of this request, and staff would also recommend the denial.
Kevin, have you looked at the map specific when it comes out of the floodway into the floodplain?
It does. I'll have one for you tonight, but it's really the front portion of the property. The creek is all on the back of the property, and so that area still is going to remain in the floodway. But as it is proposed, the front part of the property where there's an existing mobile home on the property, that area going back towards Allenville Road, more of the north, I guess that'd be the northwestern corner, and along the road frontage is where most of that area that would be coming out of the floodway. It would still be in the floodplain, but it would be in the floodway,
Right.
out of the floodway.
Okay.
So it would be something that, if those maps do become effective, could potentially have some cut and fill or something like that to where they could be utilized.
Okay. Questions or comments? I think this property, not necessarily by this individual, but by other individuals, they've tried to bring it to us before, and was it a couple years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I
And
know,
was
I
the
think it went
same
to the-
issue then?
Yeah.
It's a tough piece.
It is a
Yeah.
tough piece of land. So, Tim or Mark, anything you want to add?
I think Kevin did a great job explaining everything we discussed. You know, you asked the question about the floodplain versus the floodway. We know the maps are in the process of changing. But one of the questions I asked for everybody's kind of knowledge was about taking and moving dirt out of one to the other. And of course, you can do that in a floodplain, but not the floodway. And they're just so limited there on being able to do anything much else with it. But
Kevin, that's probably something we all pretty much understand in regards to floodplain and floodway. Just for those that are watching, can you explain the difference and how difficult it is in regards to floodway?
Yeah, there's really three. There's floodplain, or there's actually a 500-year floodplain, which is really treated like you're out of the floodplain pretty much. Then there's the 100-year floodplain, which you are limited somewhat, but you can bring in fill material and to have a kind of a balance, and therefore kind of change the floodplain boundaries. You still would have to, if it's a non-residential structure, 1 foot above the floodplain level, if it's residential, 3 foot above. But then the floodway is the area that floods most frequently. It's the area that includes the creek itself always, as well as some area outside of that. The floodway is, it's extremely difficult to do anything in the floodway beyond, farm it. You really can't build any type of structures of any kind in that area. FEMA, you pretty much have to leave it alone is best way to describe it. And this is one, there's properties all over town, especially along Stewart Creek and Harts Branch that have quite a bit of floodway as well as floodplain, so.
I just wanted to make sure the public and those that were here in attendance understood the difference between floodplain and floodway. So somewhat, our hands are tied as a town.
Yeah, these are FEMA requirements that we have to
Right.
follow.
So do I have a motion?
I'll move to deny.
I have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is denied. Item 4, consideration of an ordinance relative to the amendment of the approved PUD for a property located on tax map 57A, Group A, parcel 24.01, requested by Clyde Roundtree on behalf of Ed Freeman. The property requested contains approximately 9.47 acres and is located at 5916 New Nashville Highway, and this is a first reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is at 5916 New Nashville Highway. It's about half a mile or so northwest of the intersection with Florence Road. Land use plan would support commercial development in this area. Surrounding zoning is C2 in town and RM in Rutherford County. The existing approved PUD, which has been there for many years now, was approved for just conventional self-storage, RV and boat storage, and there was an existing residence on the property that could remain. The proposed amendment would be to leave all that as part of the PUD, but then to add another building, which would be a 2-story climate control facility of approximately 9,500 square feet. This property is not served by sanitary sewer, so prior to issuance of a building permit, the developer would have to provide verification from TDEC, groundwater protection, that the existing septic is adequate for what's being proposed. They would also have to provide verification from CUD that the fire flow requirements can be met. We don't believe that's going to be an issue because of the size of the line that's there, but they still need to provide that verification. Again, I did attach the pattern book that was submitted. The Planning Commission did recommend approval with one condition, that for the developer to revise the exterior elevations to meet the requirements of design review. I did receive a revised pattern book yesterday afternoon that does meet design review now. So I will, again, if you all pass this tonight, I will certainly get that to you for your workshop packet. The Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval. With that condition, I would also recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin on this? One of the things I was worried about was the access gate, but I see it's back far enough that there'll be plenty of stacking.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
And there is no, currently, and there's no proposed to change this, it's only, it's a right-in, right-out only access. There's no median cut there.
You feel good about the amount of parking for the amount of climate controlled?
Yes.
Questions for Kevin on this?
The CUD adequate capacity, did you say that they would still have to get that approved?
They'll have to provide that verification.
Okay.
You know, typically we would look at that at the site plan. We feel pretty good about it because there is a pretty large line there in front of it, so we don't feel like there's going to be an issue there.
Okay.
Questions for Kevin? Tim or Mark, anything to add?
You know, Kevin did a good job again of the explanation, and, you know, again, it's already how this is being used. There's really no change as far as this property goes. Surrounding zoning C2, so you're kind of in that commercial industrial type look area, and with our changes as far as design review, you know, we're stepped up the what's going to be required on the exterior there. So with all that, you know, I supported this.
And to tag on to that, this offers a really good screen. It's an updated product, and it offers a really good screen to what the current product is that you see
And I'll say
now,
this, I
so.
pass that every day.
Yeah.
You really have to look for it to even realize that it's
it was
back
big.
there.
So I
Yeah.
saw that drawing,
Yeah.
I didn't realize it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's I guess curtained well.
it is. Okay, do we have a motion?
I move to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to item 5, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 50C, Group A, parcel 26.00 to go from R1 to PRD. It's requested by Clyde Roundtree on behalf of Scott Butler. The property requested to be rezoned contains 2.2 acres and is located on Terrytown Drive, and this is a first reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a request on Terrytown Drive, approximately 700 feet west of the intersection with Valley Green Drive, which then goes out to Hamilville Road. The land use plan would support a medium-density residential here. Surrounding zoning is R1. This requested PRD is for, the request was for 5 single-family lots utilizing 60-foot lot widths, 7.5-foot side setbacks. As recommended by the Planning Commission, the PRD request has been changed to 4 single-family lots, 75-foot lot width and 15-foot side setbacks. All other aspects of the original request would remain. The proposed minimum house size is 1,400 square feet. Front setbacks will be 35 feet with double width driveways, so there's parking there like we would have required on others. The common area would be owned by the HOA, managed by a third party. Again, I did attach the pattern book that was submitted. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this as amended. I will also let you know I did receive it as the same as the previous 2 PUD requests. We did receive a revised pattern book that shows the 4 lots and how they're going to lay everything out with 4 lots versus 5. Again, I will have to get that to you for your workshop if you approve this tonight. Again, the Planning Commission did recommend approval as amended, and I would also recommend approval as amended by the Planning Commission.
So I know there was quite a bit of discussion and give and take from the city as well as the developer. One of the things that was discussed was the HOA is not in this subdivision. Where's the HOA actually? Which subdivision is it with?
It's another part of Valley Green. It's directly to west, kind of west northwest of this
Okay.
location. Is where it's at. It's not a part of this area, but it is connected to that area by roadways.
How many residences make up that HOA?
Oh, 150, 200 at least, I think, something like that. It's pretty big.
I know one of the concerns was the open space being maintained, and is it currently being maintained by anybody? Is it?
I mean, it's the property owners. I mean, it's.
So it's probably going to be kept better.
It's rough as a cob right now.
Can you give a definition of that?
Yes, when you take the corn off of a corn cob, then it becomes very, very rough.
Gotcha, okay. For those that just weren't sure what that meant.
Okay.
Okay.
So that there are adjustments that I assume the lots are still laid out the same, it's just 4 instead of 5?
Basically,
More in
and they're
between,
gonna
et cetera.
have, the access to the or the common area was gonna kind of be on the eastern side. I think their proposal now is to be on the west side, but it's basically the same. It's 4 lots instead of 5.
Yeah, and I actually was watching planning. I think you guys did a very good job going back and forth. I texted you during the meeting. I don't think y'all saw it till after, but I was telling you, good job with the conversation, because there was a lot of back and forth to come up with something that would work here. But the one thing I didn't remember was there parking, the depth okay in the front for the?
Yeah, there's gonna be a 35-foot front
Yeah,
setback
okay.
in the double.
I remember there was some
driveways.
conversation about the back, having to build up the yard to be able to meet that setback, and I just didn't remember where we landed on that.
One of the things we really tried to maintain was the integrity of what's already there with the 15-foot side setbacks as opposed to what was proposed and squeezing that other house in there. So you watched it, so you kind of know. We found a compromise that worked for everybody, we think, and it keeps the 15-foot side setbacks, which is kind of, it's the nature of that subdivision, having the wider lots.
Yeah.
So we wanted to protect that for the citizens. And somebody brought up the upkeep. The fact that it's not been part of an HOA now speaks to the fact that with an HOA involved, there's a better chance now of having maintenance done there than there has been in the past.
I was getting ready to ask you, Mark, and I know we talked before times, you looked at stuff to see does it fit? And so I'm glad you covered that.
As proposed, it didn't fit with us.
Okay.
Yeah, but we wanted, like I said, we wanted to keep it spread out a little bit more like that subdivision currently is.
Okay.
So I had 2 concerns based on that conversation, which one was the plat, or the layout, and you all had approved it, planning without that, but Kevin did say that they have submitted the plat book to show what the 4 of them look like.
Yes,
So,
right, yeah.
And then the second thing was that neighbors, at the time that the meeting, that you had the planning commission meeting, you said the neighbors had just received the letter, so have you had any other response from any of the neighbors about?
Yeah, we've had several people
development?
call and ask, about when the meetings are going to be and all that. So I had one even at about 4:30 today, asking about that. And there was someone spoke at the meeting, at the planning commission meeting, a concerned neighbor. And so there's a lot of concerns about, primary concerns I've heard have been about stormwater and drainage and all. And so that's something, of course, we would, as with any development, have to look at very closely.
Talk a little bit about what state law is when it comes to stormwater, just so the public is made aware.
Right. What we require is the 25-year storm event detention, and so you have to basically hold that water, and then it can be released as it is today, but it has to be released at the same or reduced rate, no more increased amounts. This will most likely, it's going to disturb more than an acre, so they're going to have to go to TDEC to get the NPDES permit and go through that whole process from an erosion control standpoint and all that as well. Go through our same grading permit process that any new development has to go through. So, again, that's a TDEC review as well as local engineering department review of that. So, it's something we'll have to, again, just especially with the Cinco involved, and does it discharge or receive, and all those kind of things we have to look at. But so that'll be part of the development review if this is approved when the subdivision comes in, the plat comes in.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B is our package liquor board report. There were no applications for the town council to consider at this time. Item C, consideration of an ordinance amending ordinance 21-22, adopting the 2021-22 fiscal year budget, specifically the fee schedule relative to the municipal code violation, and this is a first reading. Hey, Jeff.
Mayor and council, this will just add to the fee schedule. Currently, there was a TCA for failure to report And in order to charge that and have a fine set for that in the municipal court, we need to add it to our fee schedule, and that's what this is.
Questions for Jeff on this? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I move to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Anything under other tonight?
No, ma'am.
No other. Status reports?
No, ma'am.
I know that we have one new employee. Do we have two new
I was gonna
employees?
get to that.
That's going to be in your announcements.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
sorry, I didn't want to steal your
That's
thunder.
okay.
Okay. I'll wait and let you talk about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Diane, anything? I have nothing. Brian, anything tonight?
Mayor and council, I do have some exciting news tonight. We do have one new employee and then another employee that's with us again tonight. If you haven't had a chance to meet Carl in the back, our new IT director, we're glad to have him on board. But also we have Henry Arbina, who has now joined us as of this week. He is our new safety and risk management manager, working with Jeff Peach. But we were happy to get him on board, and he's getting up to speed quickly. I think both of them feel like they're drinking from a fire hose right now. But there's a lot going on, but they're catching on very quickly. Do have a couple other things, Mayor and Council. I know many of us just left service for Jerry Harrell. I think I've already mentioned the passing of Jerry, but I think the family would again appreciate our prayers going forward. Also, I just wanted to show some appreciation to our Smyrna Police Department. They held their open house for National Night Out last week. Congratulations to the department for hosting a great event, and thank you to the community members. Several people I've seen in the audience tonight were out there and coming out and stopped by the Justice Center and learned a little bit more about what our police department does and how they operate. On a second note, the Smyrna Fire Department actually had their open house on Sunday. Congratulations to their department for hosting another successful event. I know Chief couldn't be here. I think you all know where he's at tonight, and we appreciate that he's there. But they had a great event. A lot of people, I know, I got there about 1 o'clock, and they had talked like, I think it was a mix-up a little bit on the time, and we had some people show up a little early, and they'd had almost 150 people come through almost by 1 o'clock. I would dare say they probably ended up with close to 400 to 500 people coming through. A lot of fun. The kids, it's always fun to watch them play on the bouncy houses. But if you ever get a chance, go back to the back and watch them operate the fire hose. That's a lot of fun. Don't stand in line with the fire hose, okay? You do not want to be aligned with the fire hose.
Is there a specific spot that we want HG to go stand in?
Mayor, I want him to stand right next to you, and you both can. The other thing I wanted to share, we completed a successful State of the Town taping last Friday morning. Council, thank you so much to the ones that could be there to be with us, our directors, and it was a great opportunity for us to give the community a look at our accomplishments, challenges, and opportunities of each department over this past year. We will be putting that out on Channel 3. And also on YouTube, and we'll upload the YouTube link to our Facebook and social media pages. That will go live in about 24 hours, sometime tomorrow afternoon late. We'll get that out. The next thing I want to talk about is the town's Veterans Day ceremony. That's coming up. That will be on Thursday, November the 11th at 11 a.m. I think Brett's trying to catch up with our board there, but it will be held at the Jeff Coos Memorial. We'll be inviting the community again to come out and be with us. It's a very special time. I hope everybody can make plans to be with us. We do this in conjunction with our local VFW here in Smyrna, and it's a great time. You know, many times I talk about some of the things that are maybe not as popular or deaths and those kind of things. I have an announcement tonight that should bring joy to all of us. Fire Chief Bill sent this to me, but our ladder driver, Ryan and Jennifer White, are the proud parents of a new baby girl born October 7th, 2021, and her name is Ava Lee White. So congratulations and welcome to the Smyrna Town family. And I'll leave it with, as I say many times, love where you live, folks. We still have quite a bit of littering going on. I had some dumping that was done back on the backside of Seven Oaks. Again, we do have street lights going up this week back there. But unfortunately, some people decided to get rid of some televisions and some construction waste, and instead of taking it to the dump, they took it to the side of the road and dumped it off. Folks, you know, this is our community. Let's be proud of it. And it's a conscious decision that each of us make whether we litter or not. So please be kind and don't litter. Mayor, that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, sir. Jeffrey L.
Just echo that I'm glad to have Mr. Urbina on board for numerous reasons, but I think he'll do well.
Great. Raquel?
Congratulations to the police department and to the fire department for their successful night out and open house. Welcome to our new employees to the town. Welcome to the Smyrna family. And congratulations to the White family on the birth of their new daughter or their new baby girl. Condolences again to the Harrell family. I think we should all keep them in our prayers. They've gone through a lot. So condolences to them and to the Benson family, who Mark had mentioned a couple of weeks ago with Miss Barbara Benson at Southern Bank on the loss of her son. And I think that's all I have for tonight, Mayor.
Great. G?
Brian's already told everybody to be kind, so I'll pass over that one and just say, shop local.
Is that because you've not been very kind tonight?
Speak for yourself,
Is that why
my
you passed
dear.
over it?
It's been rough as a cob down there. Polish it.
Thank you, HG. Tim?
Certainly, I would like to add my condolences to the Harold family. Chief, thank you for your involvement in the community. I know that we do so much more than just policing, and it's much appreciated and it's much noticed in our town. Thank you, Chief Bill, also for the involvement with our fire department in the community. Finally, on a personal note, I want to wish my grandson, Tyler Hankins, success. He's been through the Air Force boot camp training. He's been through his training, and he is on his way to Okinawa now. So I actually look forward to visiting. Donna and I are planning to visit. We're going to let him get settled in, and we're going to go explore.
Good for him. Congratulations. Jerry?
Also, I want to welcome our new employees here at the town. Hope you guys enjoy it. I know you will. And I've got also wanted to say congratulations. I think we've all got one of these up here, but Smyrna High School is having this year's, I guess it's the fall induction of their Hall of Fame people, and those names are Kara Ford, who was a bowling, she bowled, and Zach Haynes. Zach was a golfer. Michael Hicks was a basketball player and still is playing professionally overseas now, and actually was in the Olympics here recently. And he's the son of another Hall of Famer, George Miller. So I guess that's the first father-son Hall of Fame. Mackenzie Prince. Mackenzie played softball, and
She was a great pitcher. She was a great pitcher.
Yeah, she was. And she was, I think, the Gatorade Player of the Year, I believe, that year.
Yeah, she was their starting pitcher when the girls won a state championship a few years ago.
Kathy Riley was a basketball player, actually played on the same team as my wife. They lost in the last second shot in the state tournament finals. And then Coach Trumpire, who is the swimming coach over there, has been there for years. So, and then the 2005-2006 bowling team and 2006-2007 football team. So congratulations to all of them.
Great. Thanks, Jerry. Steve?
Not much I can add. Welcome to the new employees. I've already gotten to talk to our IT director. I was fortunate enough to help out with the interview process. Based on those meetings, I think he's going to be great. So welcome. And thank you for taking the opportunity to replace Kay. It's going to be hard to replace her, but I think you can do it.
You're going to work with Peach, too.
Oh, yeah, well, that's tough. That ought to be hazardous duty pay or like, something like that. But that's all I've got.
Welcome, Mr. Arvina and Mr. Wilson. Welcome to you guys. You're going to be working with a great staff of people, and your sphere is sitting around you back there, and they're all full of wisdom, and they do great work for our town. So we're excited to have you guys as part of the team.
The one closest to him is probably full of something else, but that's a different conversation.
To his
Also-
left, not to his right, right?
Yeah, to my right. Not you, Mike. Or Mike.
Also want to extend our deepest condolences to Jerry Harrell's family and what they've been through. And if you don't know the story, they're still dealing with quite a bit. And so our prayers are going to continue to be with the Harrell family. I want to announce Amber, my daughter, turned 37 years old today. I know I look younger than that, but I do have a 37-year-old daughter. So I want to wish my daughter happy birthday. I love her, and she's makes us proud every day. Brian, before I move to the mayor, I was going to ask you if you wanted to say anything about the convenience center at all relocation that's being planned. I think the citizens would love to hear more about that.
Sure, we are working with the county. Of course, you know the convenience centers belong to Rutherford County. They are looking at, and they've submitted paperwork to our planning department to move that further down Weekly Lane and behind where the current tag office is at. In doing that, they will be possibly selling the 4 acres that currently has the convenience center on it. This is a long-term plan for them, so I'm not sure of the timing. But one of the things we are doing is working with them to achieve a 1-acre tract on the back side of that property that we've been using for probably 15 or 20 years now as a laydown lot for our Public Works Department. And we are working in unison with their move to attain part of that property for continued use for the betterment of the Smyrna citizens. So at this point, that's probably all I want to share.
I think the biggest benefit that I saw from that is that their footprint is about doubling, and being off of Weekly Lane, it's going to alleviate a lot of traffic issues that we already have there, especially on the weekends, people trying to get in and out. There's going to be a lot more, there's going to be multiple angles that you can come now, and there'll be a lot more room for stacking vehicles, so.
A couple signals to go to and getting
I
out.
think, the only caution I give you right now about that is
Timing.
Timing. We're not sure where the county is. They're looking for the zoning and the, just the site plan approval. We're not sure, and I really don't want to step on the county's toes as far as when. I don't want the
So you wanna-
citizens to hear us say it's fixing to happen. It's not. We're not sure what their timing is.
It belongs
I
to
know
the county.
It belongs to the county, and they're looking at upgrades on a couple of their convenience centers, including the move of this convenience center. So it could be a little while down the road before we actually see it happen.
I appreciate the work that you've put in trying to work it out and make that happen for the best interest of the town, the best interest of the county, but the ones who win in the end are our citizens.
Absolutely.
So,
And one other thing, with the removal of emissions testing in January this year, that's going to stop a lot of congestion there at this potential relocation site. So
Yes.
hopefully Weekly Lane will feel and look a lot better when things take place.
Mayor, can I correct something real quick?
yes.
And when I was saying it, I saw Miss Donna shaking her head back there, so I knew I said something wrong. But I said that Michael and George were the first father and son. It was actually Donna's brother, Aaron, and his son were the first father and son. So
Right.
thank you for correcting me. I knew I said something wrong when you were doing this, but.
A couple of housekeeping items. Our haunting on Front Street is this Friday and Saturday night from 6 to 9 in the Depot District. Again, thank you to the Parks and Rec and Carpe Artista for planning such a unique event. And you'll have lantern tours of the historic buildings, food vendors, giveaways, and quite a bit more. So come out and enjoy haunting on Front Street. I can't tell you how excited we are to be able to have Halloween in the park back, and we encourage you to join us on Saturday, October 23rd from 3 to 8:30 at Sharp Springs Natural Area for our costume contest, candy, haunted hay rides, and more. I can't even begin to tell you how many people come out for this event, and if you want to see some cute things, come watch the costume contest. There are some really creative people here in the town of Smyrna, and the kids look precious. Don't forget our Top Gun Night Run. It's going to take place Friday, November the 5th at 7 p.m. at Lee Victory Recreation Park. The course starts at the event center, moves through the airport, down to the golf course, and the finish line is right there at the memorial. And we encourage you to come out and run, walk, however you want to move around the course.
Apparently she knows the course, she just doesn't use it.
If you don't want to participate in the run, we encourage you to come out and cheer the runners on. Bring signs. It's a lot of fun that night. We'll also have a live band as well as food trucks. So come out to this community event. We are limited on the number of runners, and I will tell you it's starting to really fill up fast. So if you'd like to register, you can do that online through our Town of Smyrna website, and there is a link to the Top Gun Night Run. Christmas parade. I can't believe we're already starting to talk about Christmas. Our Christmas parade food drive is something that we look forward to every year. We have made a contest out of it. I think we all get pretty competitive with it. I remember that first year we did it, Mike and Jill, I think we had one truck of food, just a small amount, maybe 5,000-6,000 items. And last year, our number, I didn't write that down,
A little over 42,000 items.
a little over 42.
That was just from the town and the parade. The
From
total
the parade,
number was
the
close to
total number.
90,000
I was going
with
to
the
say,
fire
yes,
department.
right. So from the town on parade day, because what we ask is, if you're coming to watch the parade, bring your canned food items or your non-perishable items. We actually have a float that's put together by our employees, and they walk along the parade route to pick that food up. It's an opportunity for us as a community to give back to those that are having a little bit harder time. We also encourage those that are participating in the parade. There's no fee to be a part of the parade except for the food drive and the non-perishable items that you bring forward. The food drive this year is going to be from November 15th to December the 10th. Our town goal is 50,000 non-perishable food items. I really think that we can reach that goal. Don't forget, there will be a canned food king or queen.
It's normally a king, I understand.
No. And you know what? I'm not opposed to opening it up for the canned food king or queen to be any employee that.
Oh, absolutely.
So any employee, we are challenging everyone. If you want to participate in the contest, all you've got to do is let Casey know, and Casey can keep up with the food that you bring in. And we will crown that person. When do we usually do it? We usually do it the December
Workshop. I think.
workshop. Is that when we do it?
At the end of the month.
So I get to see that crown and sash every time that I'm here at Town Hall. So I hope someone will be wearing it proudly at the December workshop. But the one thing I want us to remember is we have a lot of fun with it, but the ones who win in the end are the citizens that are in need here in our community.
And Mayor, if I could point out, this will be the parade and the town food drive. The fire department has done a food drive for many years. Theirs will be running November the 5th through the 14th, so we don't want to conflict with theirs. So they'll be doing their food drive during that first week prior to our food drive kicking off.
And they usually set up at Walmart on a Saturday.
They set up at Walmart on a Saturday. They work with
the
a couple of
schools.
the schools and those kind of things. So,
Right.
like I said, last year, when you combined what the fire department did plus what the town did, close to 90,000 items that were collected, so.
And if there's an individual or a business that's in the viewing area and would like to participate, we welcome that. If you don't want to bring in non-perishable items and would rather give a monetary donation, you can make that donation to
Nourish
the
Food
Nourish
Bank.
Food Bank, and we count that, I can't remember.
It's 50 cents per item, so.
50 cents per
Per
item.
item.
So, okay, so, council, anything else? If, no, we'll see, will we be back before? Yeah, we'll come back before Halloween, won't we? Yeah, okay. So if nothing else, we are adjourned.